just like to apologize up front. I'm breathing a little heavy because my nose has stopped up, got a little cold. So sorry about that, but I just wanted to get this done. I got a commission for a customer to basically clean up and make a new handle for his great uncle's chisel. And I've been going over it, and I'll show you briefly how I'll clean these up without actually getting them down to the bare metal, but just getting off the dirt and the grime and some of the rust. Well, it looks like we have some initials here. Looks like GDW. And I don't think that my customer knew that these were here. So
can you point to it?
It's right here. You probably see them now.
Almost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, I'm going to finish cleaning this up. I'm going to put it on the grinder to get a good bevel on there, get it sharpened. I'm going to make the handle. We'll cover that in later on in the video, so don't go away. We got more to come. Now that I've used the wire brush in my drill press, I'm going to flatten the bottom here with some 100 grit, and then I'll use progressively finer grits to get this nice and smooth. You have to get the back of the chisel completely flat before you can sharpen it. So that's what I'm doing here. This is some wet, dry sandpaper, and I think I'll be able to get completely flat. I don't have to put any adhesive on here. I think it'll be fine just holding it.
What does wet dry mean? You can use it wet or dry?
Exactly.
What's the difference? Does it do something different when it's wet?
Well, it removes the particles from your sharpening, but I don't think I have that much coming off here to worry about it. If it does look like it's going to be a problem, I can wet it. But it's removing the material rather quickly, so
Can you do it from side to side or just up and
I
down?
generally just do it from up and down, because side to side you can do either or, doesn't matter. It's just easier to do it up and down.
'I guess if it was me just doing it, not knowing what to do, I would probably just take it and just drag it, keep dragging it down.
Yeah, back and forth is just much more rhythmic, and it tends to remove material faster that way. So, as you can see, we only have a little bit left. It wasn't really badly out of flat.
It's hard to see, it's shiny.
You'll see a little bit of darkness right there. That's where the hole is, but I'm almost through that with this 100 grit. I just turned it around to get some fresh grit. I'll probably be through that hole here in just a minute.
Two minutes later.
This is a Union, I think that's a 3/4 inch chisel. Yeah, we're coming in really good on this. This 100 grit really is pretty aggressive, and that's what you want when you're flattening. You want a really aggressive grind on that. And then once I get through, then I'll go some finer grits and get this nice and polished on the back. It should be a mirror finish by the time I'm through.
Yeah, you can see just a little bit of dark in that area still.
Yeah, you got to get all that out. It's got to be completely flat back there. Although I probably take it further than it needs to, I like to see a nice mirror finish on the back of my chisels. It's just a sign of good workmanship. Then you know it's been flattened and polished. Ready to do some really good work.
What is this, just a tile, like a floor tile?
Yeah, this is, you can go down to your home center. These are generally very flat. And this is this is what I use if you want to make a flat surface on your chisels. It does a really good job of being a flat surface. I'm going to go with the water. I'm going to spray some water on here just because it's taking a little bit longer. There's not a lot left to do on this, but the water just really helps transport the shavings. And I'll move to a fresh area of the sandpaper. You don't have to totally saturate it. All you're doing, you can actually see the particles starting to float up there. It just removes the particles out of your way so that it bites a little bit better. And really, it doesn't take that long. I've only got about 10 minutes total on here. I'm almost through that one little layer there. We were fortunate that this wasn't that bad of a...
Turn it over again. Let me get a close up down.
Okay.
There we go. Hold still. There we go. Okay, I think I got a good close up of it.
Okay.
What you're looking at.
We were fortunate that it wasn't any worse than it was, but this is a Union Chisel, which is a really good old brand. I would say this chisel's probably 100 years old.
How does it happen that you get uneven spots on a chisel?
Well, it was never lapped in the first place. After it gets through out of the factory,
It was never what?
it was never lapped on the back to begin
lapped.
with.
That's what this is called.
It's a lapping process, yeah. Back in the day, a lot of these were just carpentry chisels, and they didn't have to have a really fine-tuned back like this. If they could get a sharp bevel on the edge, that's all they were going for. But today we found out that if you do lap the back, get it nice and flat, and get a much sharper edge, it'll stay sharper longer, and you can use it for finer work. And the steel in these things are fantastic. They'll take an edge and hold an edge forever. My favorite chisels are these old chisels because they have really good steel in them.
How old is this one, did you say?
Probably 100. It could be as old as 125 years.
So this customer was given this by his great uncle, right?
Yeah, I think he inherited it, and
But you can find these things at even yard sales, good thrift shops.
you can find them anywhere people sell stuff, old things, or even new things. I found them at the Habitat Restore. I found them at Tool Meets. Found them at yard sales. And I found them, at estate sales, Craigslist, you name it.
Facebook Buy Sell Trade.
Craigslist is a really good place to find old tools. It's one of my favorites. Okay, there's some pits in here that are, okay, let me get,
Looks like it's a little uneven. I see some chips.
yeah, I haven't even addressed the cutting edge yet. That's the last thing you do. So I'm through with the 100, I think. I'm going to 220 grit now. I'm starting to get a really good surface on this. So I'm going to go to the 200 and then get it and see if I got all the scratches from the 100 out, and then I'll go to a higher grit after that. I'll probably only go to like 400 on the wet dry, and then I'll take it to my stones. But I won't do that until I actually get a nice grind on here from the grinder, and we'll show you that in just a minute. So now it's just a process of same thing.
I can tell that's a lot smoother. It's not as
Yeah, it doesn't make as much noise. And you'll start noticing the higher grit, the more mirror finish you get.
And you'll see scratches in there. If the scratches are too deep, you might have to go back a grit. Generally, if you're starting out with 100 and go to 220 like this, the 220 will take out the 100 grit pretty quickly. Once you start going up in grits, it goes pretty quickly. So the higher the number, the finer, the deeper? Yep. Alright, I'm changing out my towel because I don't want to introduce heavier grit. Exactly, it's sort of contamination. I can see the initials better now with that. Can you? You want to take a picture of that. And I'll probably sand that a little bit with a fine grit because I didn't want to remove any material from there. So. That's why you got your finger every place. Yep. You generally wouldn't work out that fine. That's right. All you need is, really, I'm doing the first 3 inches or so. Or 90 millimeters for you people that use the metric system, which I would prefer, but in America, somehow we've managed to hold on to the material. Let's see what we got here. We've gotten rid of all these. We still got some scratches in there from the 100. Yeah, I can see them. So it takes a while, but you eventually get through them. The front section is not too bad. That's the one that really counts, but... And as you notice, I am rotating this to fresh grit occasionally, like now. And it cuts so much better on fresh grit. These things do break down in use. The sandpaper breaks down. And you feel it biting a little bit better when you switch to a new section. That's what you want. You really want it to bite into that steel. It seems like you don't have to hold the paper now. It's a little heavier and probably sticking to the steel. It's a little suction there. Yeah, I used to use a spray adhesive, but it's just more of a pain to remove it. So the wet dry particularly sticks down. And that's why I switched to my stones after I get beyond about 300 grit. Scratches now, more like little twists. So, I'll come back when I've gotten through this grit, and then we'll get to the next grit.
Okay, now I've progressed to my 400 grit, and this is as far as I'm going to go until after I get a edge ground on the cutting edge. So what you'll see now is you're going to see much more of a mirror finish on here. It looks like we got a little dip up here in the front. Might have to go back to a 100 to get that out of there.
So can you reuse this sandpaper?
Not really.
Is it?
I mean, you can use it for a finer, like the 100. If you have diamond stones, really fine diamond stones, it'll cut faster than this. It's expensive up front, but.
So you got all the different numbers of grit?
Yeah, I mean, this one guy had a whole box of different grits and really big packages of it too. So got a really good deal on that.
Wow.
That's why you go to yard sales. People they're just wanting to get rid of it because they don't need it anymore. They're downsizing or whatever.
Yeah, I have a whole bunch of material to take to the thrift store today because our daughter had a art project, and we bought, several different types of material at just Walmart, but we had a lot of leftovers, so that's all going to the thrift store.
Not real happy with the very end of this because you'll see that there's a little different reflection on the end, so it sort of curves down a little bit. So we'll have to grind past that with the 400. So it seems a shame to get rid of this mirror finish, but you'll get it back pretty quickly. But it doesn't make any sense to try to hog out material for 400 grit because you'll be here like for years.
Yeah.
So the best thing to back to 100, spend a few minutes to get rid of that one edge right there, and then progress back through the grits.
Okay.
So that's that's the way it's done. It's frustrating sometimes, especially when you got a lot of effort into it, but the results really pay for themselves. I actually could take my mask off right now,
Yeah,
but
I don't have a mask on because there's no.
If I go back to the wire
particles in it.
brush for a reason, I'll have it on.
Yeah, because the particles would be in the air then. Right.
Yeah, I don't want to breathe anything that's not supposed to be breathed in. All right, you're gonna see that nice mirror finish gone. A bunch of scratches on here. And hopefully we can get past that little bump there at the end. This thing really cuts well. Diamond cuts steel like nobody's business. But they are expensive. I use this generally to lap my my stones because you have to lap your stones to get them flat. You don't want to use a dished out stone to try to get a plain blade flat because you'll never get it that way.
How much is a diamond stone?
I think this was about $130.
Where did you buy it?
I believe I bought this at Lee Valley. This isn't something you'll find at a yard sale. If you do, you're really lucky. Generally, you have to buy this stuff new.
So this looks like some type of metal with, I guess, diamond flex embedded in it?
Yep,
Or?
it's diamond impregnated steel, basically. And you'll spend the rest of your life trying to wear down those diamonds because they're very tough.
I'm just trying to see if it's shiny at all. I don't see any shine.
It's not really shiny. But these diamond plates are amazingly tough. And they will eat through some steel like you wouldn't believe. But, as you can see, they leave some pretty severe scratches on there. Again, you'll have to run back through the grits to get rid of that. But I'm hoping to get through that end, so because you don't want any upswing on your end there, because you won't get a good even. It'll ride up like that, and you want it to ride nice and flat. And you only have to do this once. Once you get it flat, it'll stay flat as long as your stones are flat. And you don't really have to lap it. What I do is, when I sharpen it, most of the time all I have to do is strop it, because I don't wait till it gets completely dull. I'll put it on the strop a few times and it'll get back to razor sharpness again. But if it gets dull, then I'll take it down to 1,000 grit. You really don't have to. I will lap this, especially if there's some areas that need a little work. But generally you don't have to lap the back. And then you get it through your stones, and then you put it on a strop, and then it's ready to go again. So I think we're about done here. So just refer back to the 400 and the 220 and the not the 100, the 220 and the 400 portions, and I'll be doing the exact same thing.
All right, I'm gonna go pick up some lunch. I'll see you in a bit.
All right, well, that works for me. The next step is to actually put a bevel, because as you can see, this isn't really ground very straight, and it's got a pretty terrible edge on it. So what I'm going to do is correct that with the grinding wheel. I do have a Veritas grinding jig, which really helps keep the angle. And that came with a little angle finder there. You can check your angle to make sure it's right. And so I have a friable grinding wheel, and to make sure that I don't heat the blade up, I'll be dipping it in water, which I have to get. So next time you see me, you'll see a little cup of water over here. So you just do a couple of passes, you dump in the water, do a few more passes. You don't want to overheat your tip of your tool, because you'll remove the temper in it and it'll get soft. So you got to keep it relatively cool. If you touch it and doesn't burn you, then you're okay. But it's possible, especially when you get to a really fine edge, to really ruin that edge real quickly. So you got to be careful. Okay, so in the next shot you'll see the water, and I'll be actually starting to grind. Okay, so most people would stop right here, right off the grinder, and say that's sharp enough. But not me. I'm an adherent of the Scary Sharp system. So, so I take it through a 1,000 grit stone, and then an 8,000 grit, and then to the strop.
Sorry, I missed that. So this is the 1,000.
That's 1,000. That's the 8,000, and that's a strop. Now, the thing to remember about this 1,000 grit is you have to soak it on this particular one about 30 minutes before you use it. You got to keep it wet. Okay. And normally on plain, I'll go ahead and show you. I use this lapping stone, or the this diamond plate, to lap my my stones. So you just come in here and you actually just lap the stone. And what that does is it flattens it, and you'll see that it's wearing off the sides because it's got a dish in the middle. So you got to do that, especially on plain blades. It's not so important on these smaller blades because they kind of ride in the dish, but it's always a good habit to get into to flatten your stones before you use them. And so I'm almost through flattening it there. And once it's flat, then you can use it. Yep, there we go. We got a nice surface on there. So if you do that regularly, you don't have to hog out a lot of material. It's ready to go. So go ahead and put. So the next thing I do is use this honing guide, and you put your tool in here, and you set it. It's a little bit difficult with these chisels, but you kind of get the hang of it after a while. The important thing is it's in there straight. And this particular chisel it gets thicker as you go this way, so you just got to make sure it's in there pretty good and sticks out far enough to get your 25-degree bevel. Like I said, sometimes these are a little tricky. Now there are better honing guides than this. This is the cheapy $9 one. And one of these days I'll probably get a nice Lee Nielsen one or one from Veritas, but
What's the brand on that one?
generic. It's a cheapy generic one. Okay, so because this was sharpened on a grinder, it's got a concave grind on it. So what we're looking to do is hit the heel and the toe, or hit the heel of this and the very front, the toe of the blade. And so if I put it on there, if it's set correctly, we'll see wear on both of those surfaces. Go ahead and set it down here now. Okay, so if you don't see any wear on there, there's a neat trick to see where you're actually working the steel. Just get you a Sharpie and run along the. Okay, so set that on there, and then
Want the Sharpie stain your?
it doesn't matter. It might leave a little mark on there, but this stuff wears so quickly. All right, so until we're wearing on the heel, but we're not on the toe, so we gotta go a little bit further back. So we gotta pull it in just a little bit.
You're pulling it towards you?
I'm pulling it back into the honing guide.
Mm-hmm.
And it takes a little fiddling. The most important thing is you have it level in this thing, in this guide, because you want a nice square. Okay, so we're getting there. We're still wearing right on the heel, so I'm gonna pull it in just a little bit more. It's finger tight right now. Once I got it where I want it, then I'll tighten it up. Okay, now you see we're wearing right on the tip there, and that's probably, it's okay if you just wear there. I mean, the heel would be great, but this will be the cutting surface anyway. So what we're going to do, we're going to do a few passes on here. It doesn't take many. And try to get it all over the stone. Don't work just one spot. Oh yeah, that's looking really good. Now it is wearing a little bit on the left side, so I got to bear down on the right side a little bit. And now it's a lot more even across the front. And really, that's about all you got to do on this stone. And then what I do the back, because what we're trying to do is wear that wire edge off. And that's really it for that grit. The next one is to do the 8,000 grit. So you just get that grit off of there, just wipe it off best you can. Wet your 8,000 grit. Now, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go off camera, I'm gonna rinse this off, and then I'm gonna flatten my 8,000 grit.
One.
So off camera, I took the 1,000 grit stone, put it back in the water, because I want to keep it, in case I have to go back to it, keep it nice and hydrated. And so here we got a nice flat surface. To polish that. Now just wet it down. Again, this doesn't take long, because the beauty of this system is you're only working a very small part of the edge. You're not working this whole bevel. You really don't have to ever do that. Notice how I'm trying to work it all over the entire surface there. Okay. So I'm seeing pretty much a mirror finish on there, and what that means is it's done. And then work the back again. And what you'll see when you do that is it really polishes up nice. Well, it will. Might have to do a few more. And you know, there's no shame if you notice that the back isn't totally flat, to go back actually and hit the 1,000 grit stone for a little bit to get it flatter. But I think this is going to be fine. Well, I think I might have to hit the 1,000 a little bit more on that, on the back. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to get the 1,000 back. I'm going to hit that portion of it. So I have this Tupperware container that I soak it in. So go ahead and take it out. So I'm going to lap the back a little bit more, because it needs a little bit more work. Now, one thing I forgot to show you also is sometimes when I'm lapping these stones get really sharp and they can actually cut you. So it's good to bevel these edges on here too. So I'm actually doing quite a bit of work on the back of this one, because I saw that it needed a little bit of 1,000 grit work. And sometimes you don't see it till you get to the polishing on the 8,000. So, you know, there's no harm going back and redoing some work. It's all part of the honing and polishing process.
You have to have a free day for this, basically, because sometimes it goes fast and sometimes not.
All right, so you see how it's kind of a milky, you know, sort of, it looks like it's all scratched up, but that means that the whole surface has gotten worked. So I'm going to do a little bit more, but that's pretty much it. really can't hone too much. I mean, you spend too much time doing it, but and you can do it this way too, but as far as honing is concerned, I find it easier to go on the long edge. Okay, so there's this one little corner right there that might give us a problem. So at this point, I might actually, I could grind past that point on the grinder, but we'll see how it hones. I mean, it's definitely a turned corner on that. Yeah, I had to take it back to the grinder and then back to my 1,000 and now my 8,000 stone. I am going to show you, I mean, it's pretty much ready to take to the strop, but I'm going to show you how I do this freehand. Because there's a heel and a toe, you can just rock it and you can feel it kind of engage both of those. And then you just hold that angle. You just keep your thumb on there and it'll stay there. You'll feel it. And if it leaves 2 tracks, then you know you're doing it right. And then you just do a little bit. I've actually polished the back a little bit, quite a bit. So, and then what really matters is this back here, and make sure that it's nice and shiny. It's still wet a little bit, but that is going to be a good cutting chisel. I'll just cut myself, I think. This thing is really sharp right now, and what I'm going to do, put a little charging compound on my strop. And you can get this like at Home Depot. It's polishing honing compound, and it doesn't really matter the brand or anything. Just get some honing compound. It's Lapidary's Rouge will work too, but again, same technique as what I did, but you can do this by hand. You don't have to use a honing guide for this. Just draw it back. Really, you're just trying to get rid of that wire edge that gets made when you, and then come along here, do the back, do the front, just go back and forth, because there will be a wire edge on there, I guarantee you.
I see you're rocking it when you get to the front heel and toe part.
Yeah, see, I'm finding the bevel. Okay, now you're going to see that that is really, really mirror polished, and on the back it'll be about the same.
Will we be making a trip to the urgent care today?
Hopefully not.
Well, what's the difference there?
Okay, so this is just basically wiping off the polishing compound, but it also does, it's a little bit abrasive, but it's, just think of it as a finer grit.
What is it, leather?
Yep, leather on both sides. It's the rough side of the leather on so I use the rough side on both sides, but some people say for honing you want the skin side, but I don't think it's mattered to me. This thing is now razor sharp, and what we're going to do is watch this shave my hair. And if it shaves hair, then it's sharp.
Did it?
Yes. See the bald spot? Watch.
I don't have my good glasses on. Okay.
This chisel is ready to have a handle put on it. This is the one that came with it. I'd say there's a slight problem with that handle. I'm going to make a new one.
What are you going to make it out of?
I'll make it out of bird's eye maple.
What is that? Can you tell?
Yeah, I think it's maple. Okay. It may be oak,
like
actually.
Wet some, or maybe just overused.
I just think it was. I don't think this was the original handle for it. I don't think it was made properly, because it shouldn't have shot down past that. Somebody might have made it too short, and then it shoved into this even further. but I'm gonna make it properly. So
Okay.
so this chisel will last many more years.